Hello and welcome back to Creative Pet Keeping. My name is Kasia, I am your host, and in today's video I'm going to talk about 5 things you shouldn't do with your betta fish. So let's get started. So the first thing is, don't add seashells or corals, particularly dried coral, into your tank. You will often find them in your local fish store and they look really beautiful and you want to go for the beautiful under the sea mermaid look potentially, but you have to keep in mind that the things that you put inside your tank actually affect your tank as a whole. In this case, the seashells as well as the coral will slowly break down in your tank over time, making your water more mineral rich, and in turn this will raise your pH. If you have fish that really like high pH and mineral rich water, for example like African cichlids, this is a great thing, and we oftentimes will actually intentionally add these things. There's even substrates that have crushed coral in them to help raise the pH, but bettas like soft and acidic water. So the best thing to do is to just work with the water that you have. Don't mess around with it too much, and if you want to add things to your tank, add things that will slowly lower the pH, like driftwood, for example. Another thing to avoid in your tank are sharp rocks. Nowadays, with the spread and growth of the aquascaping awesomeness in the hobby, so many people are showing their beautiful aquascapes, and I think it's slowly starting to become a little more mainstream, which I'm really excited about. But one of the things that you will see is a lot of people will use shiryu or dragonstone, really beautiful decorative stones that have a lot of sharp edges. When you want to incorporate these stones in your scape, you have to make sure to sand down the edges or just avoid them in general. You have to keep in mind that bettas are ambush predators. So in the wild, technically their wild counterparts would be kind of going in between really thickly planted plants and hiding and looking for little critters to eat, for example little tiny crustaceans or baby fry of other fish to munch on. So because of that, they like to kind of go in between stuff and squeeze through and get in places they shouldn't. And a lot of times, especially if you have the long-finned half-moon variety, they will squeeze through and rip their fins and damage it, while other fish would be able to squeeze through different areas and maneuver a lot more easily. So stay away from sharp stones. Even when it comes to driftwood, stay away from sharp edges on driftwood as well. Just no sharp things. No sharp things. Speaking of sharp things, and this is going to be a bonus, and a lot of you will probably already know this, also avoid sharp, pointy, very plasticky fake plants. These plants will also tear your betta's fins, and you want to avoid them at all costs. There are some nice silk soft options available at different pet stores, but with fake plants in general, one thing to be very careful of is don't add any plants that have any sort of metal wire inside, because what happens when you have metal wire is sometimes it can become exposed over time and then it will rust, which will be really bad for your fish tank. I know there's a lot of people that have been buying a lot of beautiful fake plants from, for example, dollar stores to add to their tanks, and the setups look really beautiful, but you have to really be careful, whether it's the metal that's inside the plants or even the fabric dyes that might be used from the materials, or the materials themselves can be toxic if they're not sharp. So there's a lot of dangers when it comes to adding things into your tank, so be careful and add things that you know will be aquarium safe. Speaking of things that are aquarium safe, a lot of times we want to put toys in our tank. Toys, especially plastic toys, are really cute, and there are some exceptions. I've seen some people put Legos in their tanks. Those tend to do okay, but you have to be careful because a lot of toys are not meant to stay in water over time, and as they break down they can leach a lot of toxic chemicals, whether the paint peeling off and your fish potentially eating the paint, or just the chemicals that will be released. So unless it's aquarium safe, I would say be careful. And even with aquarium safe decor that you find in your big box pet stores like say Petco and PetSmart, I'm still a little hesitant and a little careful when it comes to these things, because I don't know if there's necessarily really good quality control with all of the items. I know that I've checked out certain decorations before and looked at the inside of them, because a lot of them are hollow inside so that fish can swim inside like a cave. There's been a lot of like sharp unsanded down edges. There's little bits and pieces that fall off, so be extra careful with things. And if you're not sure, the best way to go is to source natural materials from your local fish store. The last thing to avoid with your betta fish is high flow. Bettas don't really like being pushed around, especially nowadays with so many beautiful fins. We have the beautiful half moons. We also have nowadays the half moon dumbos, and we have plaquette dumbos with the huge dumbo fins and just large fins. When you have a fish that has very heavy, large finnage, they're gonna struggle swimming against the current. Another issue is just in general, bettas are not supposed to be like super active fish that are doing stuff all the time. They're supposed to have certain periods of activity, and they're spend a lot of time resting. So you want to create an environment for them that is not going to make them really work a lot to get from one place to another to exhaust themselves, because that can lead to stress and disease. It can cause fin nipping. Bettas really like peaceful and calm waters, because that is the type of water that they would originally come from, at least the wild counter types, because of course the domestic betta splendens have been domesticated for a long time and are not really similar to the wild types that much anymore. But even those over the years have been grown up in situations where they're either kept in calm grow out ponds, or they are kept in little jars where they jar them, which of course is also very calm, not moving water. That seems to be the happiest that bettas are in. In a perfect world, I would say we would just have no filters with no flow with bettas, and there are people in the hobby that have been able to accomplish that really well, to create a balanced closed system without the aid of a filter, because you can definitely do that. But if you are a beginner fish keeper, it's a lot easier to have a little bit of help from a filter. So my recommendation is to either buffer the flow of your filter, and you can use that by adding a sponge, or also you can actually put moss, which looks really pretty, that can grow on your hang on back filter if that's what you have. That will help slow down the flow. And then another thing you can use is a sponge filter, which is a specific filter that you add attached to a air pump, and that uses air to move water up. So the water is circulating kind of like this, and it's not creating a lot of flow. So there's different options out there. I encourage you to check them out and do your research, and I think you will do a great job taking care of your betta friend. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future uploads, and give me a thumbs up so I know that you really like this. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.